All right, for this next part of the process, we have all of the little clay boogers that are completely brushed off, as many of them as I could get. And I've chosen my color of underglaze. Now the color of underglaze is going to hopefully, cross your fingers, stick in anything, any sort of indentation that I have carved. So it's not going to stay on the surface of the clay. It is going to go in all the indentations. Okay. So I have chosen the color black, and I am going to start, I'm just going to do this with one layer of underglaze, and I'm going to coat the whole thing. Okay. And as I do that, I'm going to make sure that the underglaze fills those cracks and crevices. Okay. So if I notice that I run over it with my paintbrush and it's not filling that area, I'm going to glob it in. Okay. And the thought process behind coating the whole thing with underglaze is that it creates moisture on the entire surface. So if you have a clay body that is prone to cracking, as this dries, when we're finished with it, it should have minimal cracks, if any at all. Okay, so that's the reason why I'm coating the entire area. And again, I'm focusing mainly on getting that underglaze to fill the cracks and crevices in my design. And that bell is in the video again. Okay. So before I do my wipe off, I'm gonna just make sure that I have this underglaze in all cracks and crevices. If there looks like a crack or crevice that's not completely filled in with the underglaze, I can kind of glob it in certain areas a little bit more. And I think right now that's looking pretty good. Okay. Now I'm going to move this stuff to the side and share with you guys the thought process behind using the sponge and the water. Okay, so you know that we're working on greenware, so clay that has not been fired. Okay, so it still does have, the clay still has some give to it. Okay, so essentially what we're going to do in just a moment is we're going to take a sponge that is damp, it's not sopping wet. Okay, so I dipped it in my bucket. Hopefully I'll have shallow trays for you all. I squeezed it out. Okay, this blue is just embedded in the sponge, by the way. So it's a clean brush, or sorry, a clean sponge. It doesn't have a whole lot of drippy water in it. And what I'm going to do is wipe very surface level. So I'm just trying to hit the surface of my clay in a certain direction. Okay, so I'm gonna go back and forth first. And as I pick up underglaze on my sponge, I'm gonna rinse it in my bucket, squeeze it out, and do another wipe, okay? So we're gonna see how this goes. Okay, so this is my first wipe. Okay, and this is what I have on my sponge. I'm gonna rinse it, okay, in my bucket. You can't see my bucket, it's off camera, okay? Rinsing it in the bucket, squeezing it out completely. Okay, I'm gonna wipe the bottom section here. Again, I'm just trying to hit the highlights. This is what I have on my sponge. Doing more of an overall, again, just trying to hit the highlight of my design. Rinsing this in the bucket. And right now I'm taking my sponge and just trying to hit the highlighted areas here. Rinsing this in the bucket. So you can see how the underglaze sits in the crevices. And again, I'm not putting a whole lot of pressure on this. I am just trying to wipe the surface glaze, not the glaze that's in the crevices. All right, so this is what I have so far. If I wanted to get more of this color out here, I could try. I'm gonna rinse my paintbrush real quick and see if I can get a little bit more of that off just that section there. Use my paintbrush in just that area. See if I can take a little bit more of that away. I'm gonna do one last wipe. I like how I said one last wipe and now I'm continuing to wipe it. So the goal with this is to get most of it off the surface itself. So you can see how that underglaze stays in the cracks a little bit better. I'll hold it up so you can see it. Okay, it may not be perfect in this area, and that's kind of the beauty of it, is that it really does reside in most of the cracks and crevices, and then adds a little bit of depth and dimension to that area. Okay. The other thing I could do at this point is if I wanted to add some underglaze, let's say I want to add some stuff in, some underglaze in specific areas, I could add a little bit more of this on my brush and come back. Let's say I want the border to be dark. Okay. I can come back and paint this directly on. It would be best if I hit this with the hairdryer before I do this step. But I could then come back and add underglaze. The problem with the tile being tacky like it is right now, just from the water from my sponge, is that the underglaze is not really coming back. It's not sticking to the tile in the way that I need it to. So I could dry that with my hairdryer just to kind of get it a little bit more stiff, and then add some underglaze in key areas, okay, just to add some depth to my tile. So you can see how that's deepening that edge. Eventually when this dries, I could add the clear coat on it after it is bisque fired, and it would make this tile very nice and glossy. Okay, so that is Mishima in a nutshell.